What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the Club 33 podcast for episode 26 and turn of events. Look who's here. Juice and I, no Sky. Well, that kind of rhymed. But just mix and matching with the schedules and everything. But no worries. We are here to bring you guys this week's edition of the Club 33 podcast for episode 26. And I just realized that, what that means for next episode. It is going to be Christmas sweater time. Oh, I don't know if I have my Christmas sweater from last year, I have to find it again. But it's going to be the Star Wars one from last year again with the annoying lights. That's all I'm going to say. So be prepared for next week.
True.
But Juice, how's it going, man? Welcome.
It's another week. I feel like time is just flying by, and we'll talk about it. Not too much crazy stuff going on in DSA-wise, but yeah, we'll have some fun and chat it up like we normally do.
Absolutely. No, I totally feel like the time going by thing. I feel like the whole, pandemic hardcore stuff from last year where time just kind of felt slow has definitely disappeared, especially the last couple months. So, and like you said, I think the build up to obviously Season Olympus and all the other things they did before Thanksgiving was a big content release. And now it definitely has calmed down a good chunk. But I think the first thing we're going to talk about today is the different testing schedules they have for these events, and where I think we can talk about like the adverse, like the good and bad effects of having this. So there's 3 and 7 day events now. For instance, the Moana event. I swear I remember that event, and Juice and Sky and I talked about this in chat like earlier this week. We're like, I swear this event was like 3 days last time, and now it's 7. And I'll just kind of throw out like my thoughts on this. Like, I think with the 3-day events, it was really hard, like especially for newer players, to get these characters. If you've been playing for maybe like 6 months and you just got Moana to whatever star level you need to get her to and whatnot. 3-day events to get Maui, it's going to take you how many events to get him. But with a 7-day event, there's a lot more opportunity, obviously, to get him. It's going to be a short amount of time. But the flip side is, are we going to see these events spread out a bit longer, or is it going to come pretty consistent? But I just kind of feel they're still being pretty consistent. And Elsa is back again. I swear she was just here like the beginning of November, so it feels like they're going like in 30-day rotations almost for these legendary events. But in terms of the 3 7-day events, I don't know if I like the events 3 or 7 days. Like I said, I think for newer players it's probably going to benefit you 7 days, but 3-day events, like, I think are so good. But possibly, for like certain events like Scar, I don't mind being 3 days. You're not getting anything from that. Maybe some gold. But like someone like the Onward event, I'd load it for 7 days. I'll take it for like 2 weeks if you can. But I think that's something to think about. But Juice, what are your thoughts on these, how these events are rolling out nowadays?
Yeah, I'm with you. I remember when we started talking in our podcast chat on Discord, we're like, wait, this event is 7 days this time? Because I remember last time I felt like Coconut Crackdown came around, it was only 3 days and it felt super short.
Yeah.
Because like you just brought up with the Onward event, like maximizing your gem refreshes and using them wisely and efficiently is so important for events like these, especially for the Coconut Crackdown or even the Onward event, because you're getting so much value from refreshed attempts. And as you and I are people that are working on Maleficent and working on gearing up Kingdom characters, and we'll probably talk about that later on, but like heart droplets and wispies and things like that are super, super good to get without having to, spend money or buy gear and things like that, because you're gearing up so many characters. So I personally prefer the 7-day event just because it's constant gold you're getting every day. It's constant resources, constant gear, and if you have the gems for it, you can really maximize the efficiency for it. It even makes me think now to how the legendary events are cycling around much quicker, and it feels like we had almost two going on at the same time with what was it we had?
I think it was
we had Beauty and the Beast, and was it Big Hero 6 both at the same time, right? Was that a couple weekers?
That, and then I think it was Ralph, right, at the same time.
Yeah,
it was like,
I mean,
yeah.
we brought this up before,
Hmm.
just to the fact because there's so many legendary events now and they're passing through much quicker just so people can get them and, and finish them off. But like that's it doesn't fix the rune shortage without having to spend money. But like if
Yeah.
you are buying your refreshes and you're claiming your attempt that you request, or if you are spending the 300 gold or you're maxing those out, like you can potentially get a lot of gold and some gammas and stuff coming through too. So,
Definitely.
yeah, even the legendary events coming around are beneficial too. But I'll take the 7 day events all day, unless we're seeing something like Onward. Or no, sorry, like you said, Lion King or something where you're not really getting too much out of it, or even like the Zerg event. If you've maxed out Zerg like I have a long time ago, you're not really getting anything from it because most likely your villains are all kind of maxed out, or you don't really need any of them. So it's very specific, but if they can do events like Onward and this Coconut Crackdown and other stuff where you're getting a lot of resources, yeah, keep them 7 days for sure.
I even think, like, I mean, I totally agree with that, especially, bringing the Coconut Crackdown and the Onward event, bringing them around for longer, because I understand the concept behind the 3 days. Like, oh, we're giving them, the rewards, but just not as long. And if they want to, they're just going to spend on more expensive refreshes because it's psychologically like, oh, if I just kind of whale out per se, like on these refreshes, it's like the same thing. If I did it for like a 10 day, but it's told like the math there gets kind of funky. Like you really have to crunch down the numbers, but there's a point where it becomes just inefficient to do that. For the Onward, I think you can go all the way up to, I think, the 450, 600 gem refresh, and you still get good value. But if you go higher than that to compensate, that math just doesn't add up at all. What I think.
For me, it's nice because at least for for Coconut Crackdown, which is going on right now, like
Yeah,
I usually do the 150 for the Moana side and then the 150 gems for the Maui side, and you're basically spending 300 gems for 4 refreshes, 2 from both sides. So
exactly.
stuff like the events don't always work like that, but when they do, it's super good. You're getting so much resources.
And this might be shocking for not Juice and Sky, but for a lot of you guys out there. I don't have a 7-star Maui.
Yeah.
I've been playing this game, as long as Juice and Sky. I didn't get Moana to like 7-star Gear 7 until like I think 3 months ago. I just didn't pay attention to her, to be honest, and Oceanics in general. So I'm like, whenever that event comes around, I'm like, hell yes, I need that Maui event. I'm not buying these packs. So yeah, I just hope they come around longer. If they can do hybrids, like again, certain events where maybe 3 days, like I wouldn't even mind like like an Incredible 3 day event or something like that. Just something to bring those events back around. And for like the Zerg event, character tokens is all I look forward to from that one, to be honest. And some, I think you get like the warding potions too or something like that. So that's always good to get because those are hard to find and hard to get. So if I can get it from there, and that event used to like, I remember, if you remember, Juice, that event was gone from October till March of 2020 to 2021. So for 6 months, we did not have the Zerg event, and now it's come around like more than it ever did before. So I think it's just the tides are turning for sure, and I'm pretty sure like the Triton Tower is gonna be retired in January or February. And I also think that with more legendaries coming through, like Juice said, that we have more legendaries than ever before. I think we're gonna see Elsa become a permanent legendary. I think this first half of 2022 at some point. I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, when it makes me think about the tower events, usually I mean, when we had the Stitch Tower, I had Gantu and Bubbles 7-star. I
Yes.
had a maxed out. Even Stitch maxed out too. And then the second tower, the Little Mermaid event, I had Eric and Triton maxed out. When I'm thinking about the Tangle Tower, actually, I'm thinking about like Maximus and Flynn.
Yeah.
And those aren't maxed out for me. And I don't know how close I am to those. I haven't really spent any energy, grand campaign or regular campaign energy on them. Occasionally I was like spending the currency you get when you do the towers too, but this may be the first tower where I don't really focus on 7-starring either of them, because I can only get through like maybe the first 3 or 4 stages on tower 3, which is kind of good enough for me, I guess. But like, I don't know. I've been spending the resources on kind of gear and stuff like that compared
Hmm.
to actually those characters. 'Cause I think about, I'm like, do I really need these 7-star? Like, do I really need to focus on them? Especially
Yeah.
not. not spending any campaign energy on them whatsoever. That's just, I know I'm smarter than that. But yeah, I mean, eventually, if that tower becomes permanent or something, and I don't think I may have to go back and get them. I don't know, but it's kind of interesting how these tower events are unfolding because it's like, I don't know, are they truly worth it or not, or is it worth spending your currency on like gear and other stuff in the exchange compared to actually getting them maxed out? So
Yeah, like I think like if you get to the bottom of that third tower, you get at least a good amount of like XP and tokens for the exchange for that tower. And to your point, like I think like you, I don't buy character tokens with those with that tower energy, whichever tower it is. I go straight for the gear. Even like gargoyles, even though it's a new one, and like we should get Goliath, I still only get gear. That's it. Just because I just find a lot better value through that. And I think if Sky were here, he could go on a TED talk talking about that for like an hour or two, just discussing the value stuff.
sure.
But yeah, to this point, you know, with all the gear getting easier, honestly, like, I feel gear is getting a lot easier to get. It still doesn't feel enough for the heroic raid jump right now for Siege on Olympus. And, you know, I've seen clubs jumping up on there because I snoop around the Siege on Olympus raid channel every now and then. And currently we have, you know, Champions of Olympus and DLF. Those are the two clubs I think did it like in the first 2 weeks of the raid release. And then it took about a month or so after for like the next couple set of characters like Endgame, Kumandra, Disney Misfits, and Friends on the other side. And I think those were about right before like Thanksgiving in November time, or throughout November. Those are I think the clubs that did it. And then most recently, Sleeping Death and Mercs Rising just got added to that list, I think just this past week. So those are the two December clubs who have done it. So you think about it, that's about I think what Champions Olympus, DLF, Endgame, Commander, Misfits, Friends on the Other Side. So it's 8 clubs who have done it on Heroic, which at this point during, you know, Forbidden Depths, there was like, I don't know how, I think top 25 or top 40 clubs were already doing Heroics at this time. It was a struggle. I remember that point because a lot of people only had Gear 7, obviously. But we're seeing a short list for a raid that's been around for actually 2 months now, doing the Heroic raid. So I think it's, you know, it's great content for us to keep us busy, keep us going, and you know, striving for something. But I feel like this December, that is going to obviously exponentially grow. I think we're going to see, I would say probably the top 20-ish to 30 clubs at least attempting it. May not succeed the first time, but at least attempting the club. I mean, the heroic raid with their club. But Juice, what are your thoughts on this? And when is your club going to make that jump?
Let me answer the second question. I have no idea. Obviously, I think people or clubs are becoming more successful in Forbidden Depths Heroic just because strats started coming out, videos started coming out, resources started coming out, like team comp started coming out, which helps. Like finding out what RNG to get. Like I had one team that was able to have really good attempts and the Stitch team and stuff like that. And once you kind of learned how to play it, you're kind of good to go. I just think it's just the requirements that are really slowing clubs down, like having specific characters at G8 and things like that. And you know, some players want to farm certain things and they don't want to diverge off the path that they're currently farming on. So like when they're told that they need to farm Horn, or they need to get Horn King geared up, or they need to get Frozone up and things like that, it's like if they're just going to use them for the raid. I know some of these characters have some PvP value as well. Like it's kind of tough to kind of tell your club mates that you need to essentially farm characters in order to progress to the raid, especially when there's characters like Maleficent that people want to go for, or just other characters in general that they want to get. So I think the requirements themselves are just it's a big roadblock at the moment. Having 5 characters at G8 or whatever's needed. Aside from that, you also need the right characters too, aside from those sorcerers chosen. So I know you can kind of look around Discords, you can see people posting damages and team comps and strats against each Titan and things like that. And that's going to help too. And I just think over time, once people start kind of keep gearing them up, obviously more heroics will be cleared, but that is kind of surprising to me. I was going to ask you how you found out how you know which clubs cleared it already, because I know you probably travel around the other discords of DSA more frequently than I do, but I was kind of curious how you found that. But um, you know what? As of now, my club is, I think we're still doing tier 2 or tier 3 at the moment. Just we're doing it just because I think we're doing a lot of tier 2s just because it's the most efficient to do it time wise, rather than spending days or whatever on tier 3. It just, the leaders have figured out it's something I'm not in charge of. I don't really mind either. So um, based on the amount of people that we have and the required characters we have, it just makes more sense to do tier 2, I think, so at the moment. So yeah, I'm working on Frozone at the moment. We'll talk about account updates and stuff like that later, but yeah, once I kind of get my characters up, then I can start hopefully pushing more damage and start hopefully being able to progress further in the raid, which is hopeful too, because I'm sure Zeus will be a topic of the pod. I don't know if we're doing that dragon, but I'm sure we'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, he's definitely seems a character you want to get. And if you're not doing heroics anytime soon, you want to hopefully get on the bandwagon. So yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about Zeus in a little bit. But to your point, like the jump from 6 to 7 in terms of gear tier, and 7 to 8, there's a lot in there. There's a lot. Because getting from 6 to 7, which was kind of like the basic for the Forbidden Depths raid to really participate, that wasn't too bad. And at the time, it was probably a lot worse because we didn't have the amount of events and stuff that we have now at that point. But it looking going from 7 to 8, including 6 to 7, that's that jump is pretty hefty. And I think that's like the biggest issue that we're seeing.
Let me ask you a question, because this I should know this, but I don't. But I'm gonna ask anyways because I don't care. Are you able to forfeit on heroic attempts and keep attempting to get good RNG? Did they take that out? I can't remember if they did.
No, for Season Olympus, you can still do that. So I think that's what a lot of like the club leads are banking on, because when you're doing your attempts and you have 5 attempts, especially like in tier 2, you're probably gonna have maybe 1, if not 2, like really just duffed attempts. But if you keep on repeating, because I remember when we Forbidden Depths, the amount of like forfeits I did to try and get a better attempt. I did that all the time. So no, yeah, it's going to be the same, and I think that hopefully it turns out correct, or like the attempts get a lot easier, with the heroic, because I know the damage drop off is actually even less than tier 3 for heroics, but again, you have as many attempts, and you're not capped to, if you have, for instance, more than 5 eligible teams for the heroic, then you'll be able to obviously get more attempts like that way. I think that's like the real hurdle is for club leagues. I think is like, okay, do we take that step? Because if you're blown by like tier 2s, which a lot of clubs do, or tier 3s, which is a little bit more difficult just depending on the participation, that if you can clear tier 3s, I think you can easily do heroics. That's what I've been seeing. But again, it's just like, well, do a lot of people have a lot of gear 7s, or do they have a lot more gear 8s? And most cases, it's gonna be a lot more gear 7s than gear 8s. So that's gonna be the hardest hurdle, I think. And just I'll send you the invite to the Siege on Olympus Discord server. It's pretty helpful. If you want to scour through there, like for any like
another
stuff.
Another thing too is that that may be slowing down players. At least for me, like when I think about it, like a lot of, several of my Sorcerer's Trojans are 7-star, but a lot of them are mythical. Like they all share the same gear pool, so like you're constantly pulling. Like I'm looking at my roster right now, like Merlin and Horn King and Olaf and Sally, like those all take same gear. So if I can get 1 to G8 like if I wanted to, but then it's so much gear, especially because they share the same pool. Obviously Frozone's a little bit better, but even like Jack and Oogie Boogie and stuff as well. So it's dedication, right? Because when you think about it, like if you're not spending and you're using energy, if you have these characters as 7-star, then I'm assuming you're probably spending energy to get mythical gear for some of these characters, and that means you're not trying to start up any other characters, you're just strictly focusing on raid stuff. So it's big dedication. I know you can get raid currency from or gear currency from the exchange and stuff, whether you're doing Ursula or you're doing other or Chains of Olympus stuff, but it's big dedication too. So we've talked about the raid on the podcast many times before, but I don't know, unless they I just think over time more clubs will be able to start pushing in and doing better, and strats will come out. And I know there's a lot of clubs that are like trying to mentor their clubs and like saying, okay, here's raid attempts, I filmed it, here's commentary on what I'm thinking and how I'm doing this attempt and stuff like that, and that helps out too. But yeah, I think eventually we'll start seeing more and more come, especially if any other new characters come out.
Yeah, and to your point, the biggest hurdle is definitely gonna be like Gear 8, getting them ready for heroics. Today I just got what's it called, Horn King to Gear 8, because it's those raid lock gear pieces. If you know what I'm talking about, I think it's like the tooth or whatever it is. I don't even know what it is for mythicals, the horn. But man, that to get 100 per character it's a lot of raid exchange tokens. And you have there's 7 or 6 factions, so you have a very small percent chance to hit mythicals every time. But for some reason, Downtown Villains seems to hit like every single time. The faction you don't need, you're gonna get. That's what it always feels like. But of course, all by chance and whatnot. And it's not like you can put tactics on the raid rewards that you get, so that it's guaranteed that I get what I want. But yeah, it's a struggle, but it's part of the game, and I don't mind it, because once I do get it, for instance, it feels so rewarding because I work so hard and long for it that I feel like I accomplished something, right? Even if it's a mobile game, I feel like I accomplished something. I feel happy about it, for sure.
But also, before we move on, I mean, just shout out to those clubs you mentioned for
absolutely
getting heroic down, by the way. So if you're in any of those clubs that Dragon, shout it out. Congrats. It's a big step, and hopefully it gets easier and easier from here on out for you guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure over the weekend there's probably clubs that are doing it right now, or doing their attempts either today or yesterday. So we're probably getting an update on that tomorrow or something. So whoever's doing it this weekend and doing our next podcast and stuff, good luck, and it's going to be a big jump for you guys for sure. Our next topic here is going to be missile tokens. I remember when Meathead and the dev team discussed this last year. I totally forgot what missile tokens used to be like last year, but they had to have been better than what they are today. Because now it's like you get, the character tokens. There's like I forgot, there's 2 separate packs. There's a regular pack, I forgot what it's called, but then there's the vanity ones. Ironically, I'm pretty sure Sky would agree with me. For a lot of veteran players, that vanity one is way better just because it has 1 gamma. Yeah, 1 gamma, you're sold. The other one gives you character tokens. I think because they give you character tokens, it's not as appealing. Granted, you get token exchange tokens. I'll take the gamma. Plus, I'll get gold if I get duplicates on the vanity, or the non, what are they called? The talismans. Basically, like non-character token stuff and whatnot that you get in those packs. I'll take it any day. But man, I really miss last year's packs. If you were a year 1 player, or I guess year 0, I don't know exactly what to call it, but we were spoiled between October and December with those type of packs that they were dishing out. Now it's do I even want to try and do anything for these packs, because they're not even they're not too crazy, and because last year I think most would agree they gave out a lot more than they needed to.
I mean, for me, for the missile tokens, I've been getting Frozone stuff. I don't even look and see what you can get out of the the packs. I mean, aside from getting some during club dungeon and stuff like that, I remember getting currency there too. I'm not buying the daily missile token stuff like that, but I mean, you were the spooky coins, missile tokens, connoisseur, you know all that. So I know you're when it comes to that stuff, you're all in. But you know, if I see them pop up and I have enough to open one up, I'll open them up and hopefully I get something cool. And I mean, I'm getting some Frozone stuff, which is cool. But aside from that, it's kind of a little bit under my radar, to be honest with you. Yes, not as exciting.
Yeah, it's just not as exciting, unfortunately. But I definitely bought a lot more stuff last year. This year, like, it's just whatever passively I get. I think you get it for doing PvP and stuff and whatnot. But you know, I'll take the talismans. I'm a talisman hunter. And actually today there was the Walt's, I think it was Walt's birthday talisman that you got. That's a nice one. I like that one. The one that I really am like disappointed with myself is there was the Disney World 50th anniversary. And there was I got the one that you get, which is I think the Carousel Progress. But there was the Epcot ball, and I didn't get that one. I was kind of sad about that. I was like, oh, I didn't realize, because I was like really cracking down my spending on the game. I was like, I'm not gonna get any of these bundles anymore. I'm like, I think there was a couple there that you know came around. I was like, I'm not getting that one. I don't need it. But I was like, that's Epcot one. I kind of want that one, but it's okay. This one they gave us Yensid as the I think he's from Epic Mickey, I believe, but Yensid is the talisman you get from the pack, and it's like, I already have that. I'm not gonna buy this bundle. No, $5, no way.
Yeah, just looking at it really quick, because obviously you have the character one, and you also have the vanity one too. Are the frames, the winter frame and the icy frame, are those missile token exclusives?
I believe so. I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if you get lucky with the drop on there, yeah, you'll get it through there.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they have emotes too. Some of the talismans I have already.
Yeah.
Are any of these exclusives? Santa Winnie the Pooh talisman, is that I don't remember seeing that one. Where do you get that one?
I think there's some newer ones. Like I think what Meathead put in the Discord server. I'm looking at it now. There's the Elsa one. There's the Anna.
Yeah.
You have the frames, Belle, and Pooh. So I think those are the new ones.
Yeah.
So I would be lying if I said that I did not want Anna and Elsa. So I do want their what's it called? Their talismans at one point.
They look pretty cool.
Yeah, no, they're pretty nice. Pretty nice. I mean, they always do a good job here at DSA. But I did hit Pooh. I got Pooh today actually. So I'm missing the Frozone talisman, Belle, Anna, Elsa. The penguin one is that's like I think what's it called? Oh, the penguins are from Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
I love the marshmallow talisman, like the abominable, like the Snokies from Frozen. I always like that one for some reason. It was like screaming. There is the Matterhorn Yeti as well in here, and then the frames. Hopefully I hit the frames at one point this month. But if I don't, I'm not gonna like freak out about it. Of course, it's just like, no, I didn't get it. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of talking about cosmetic stuff too. I mean,
that's the word I was looking for earlier. Cosmetic.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me think because they just had the they kind of had their like Black Friday stuff going on, where they were just doing discounts on stuff too. But it's cool seeing a lot of those costumes and stuff kind of rotate every day. I personally didn't get any of them. I was really hoping out. I don't know which one I was really looking for. I almost got the Mickey one just because I had Mickey now, but I was like, no. I mean, I don't know. Was there a specific costume that you were looking to get that you didn't have? I don't know. It's hard for me.
Anna and Elsa. I bought those too. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I bought them because like, if you buy it there, it's a lot better than buying their packs. It's like I don't need the excess stuff. I mean, granted, if I spent the $30, I think would have gotten like a couple like token exchange tokens. But I'm like, I can live without that. So it was like $9.99 and $12.99 for cosmetic stuff.
Got it.
But hey, I don't mind. My Elsa's looking bomb either way, so I like it. I may not like Elsa as a character in the game as much as I used to, but she still gets love from me for sure. Which honestly, and this is kind of like just a random topic in here as well. Elsa's value and that whole Frozen team's value has just gotten way up, and it's crazy because like you look at like Herc, Ralph, Mickey, and Baymax, their value's actually gone down
Yeah.
a good amount. Beast, Maleficent, Beast is like one of the, I would say, the unicorns that has consistently just stayed at the top in terms of usability and value for a long time. And Maleficent being the new one, of course, she's going to stay up there. But that also kind of brings up Zeus. What's going to happen when this guy comes around? And his kit. I haven't like studied it fully, but the biggest thing here is his leadership. It's not exclusive to one faction. It's hero teammates. Granted, there is one for mythicals as well, but we're just gonna talk over his leadership real quick. Hero teammates are gonna get an 8% offense boost plus 4% per helpful effect on them, up to a max of 5. So 5 times 4%, that's 20. So if you have a lot of helpful effects on them and they're a hero, you're gonna get 28% offense boost at max, which that's a lot. And if you have mythical teammates, they gain 2% power or crit power and 2% and a bonus 2% per helpful effect on them, so that's upwards of 12%. So if you're someone like Herc who can just stack up a lot of helpful effects on himself, and you have Zeus, I mean, this guy's gonna be doing crazy damage as a mythical character. And he's not the only mythical character out there, of course. And his basic is going to be inflicting offense down, crit chance down, crit power down, or reduce speed meter at 20%. It's going to be, I think, a 25% chance for each one of those during his basic attack. So 1 out of the 4 is going to be the strike. And if he has a critical strike at level ability 2, he's going to deal up to 75% more damage and inflict stun for 1 turn. So I haven't talked about his specials, but just based off that type of stuff, Zeus is I think this is where offense is going to be next meta or something. It's just going to really push offense, and it doesn't even have to be mythicals. It's just any hero character. They're going to get a lot more offense, so this might be the edge that we needed for Elsa, because Elsa, she hasn't scaled, I think, appropriately compared to her counterparts such as like Herc and Maleficent and Beast in terms of damage. So I think she's due for that in terms of a legendary character, and this might be her out basically. But then of course the argument could be, well, if you have that and you have like Herc and all these other characters, well then they're gonna get the same boost too. But I just think in general, if even like, use it in raids, that's gonna be a great lead to add with Zeus and do some great damage. But Juice, what do you know more about me than about this kit so far?
Let me piggyback first. I know the so for the lead, obviously with combining with other hero characters, like it makes me think like kind of my main team I'm running right now is like a hybrid team that runs pretty much really good characters, Ralph and Beast and Ursula and Herc and stuff like that. Like if you're taking out, if you have Zeus in that team and you're putting in Ralph and Herc and Beast, like those are hero characters, they will benefit from that. So like currently my Ursula lead doesn't really do much. I'm not running full kingdom yet, but with Shan Yu, but the entirely more offense is going to be really, really good. And if Sky was here, he would definitely vouch on how much Beast's basic does and how much damage he does at gear tier 9 combined with offense up with Zeus's leadership is pretty cool. Really good. The thing that it stood out to me, aside from his specials, and I remember when we were in this game forever, and whenever you go down to Zeus, he was in the game, and he had one of his abilities that had like 8, it was like an 8 magic cost or something like that. It was super insane. You remember looking at that, Dragon?
I remember, like, and he had some really old free. If you guys don't know what the game used to look like before, it was completely different. But he had some basically just abilities and mechanics that were no one would know in DSA unless you watched a video from SHD like 3 years ago at this point, I think, which is crazy.
Yeah. The thing that stands out to me, and we're not going to go over his kit and read everything right now. Like his passives really stand out to me because passives are something that automatically happen if it's at the right magic cost. I mean, his first one where he's getting charged,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of effects that do it. Like I said, I'm not going to read what happens, but like when you get it to level 2, he gains invulnerable for 1 turn at the start of the battle. Like it's ridiculous. It's the best buff in the game, obviously, aside from getting other things. But his second one is so good too. His second passive, what's it called? A dash of Cumulus, where he's giving at the end of his turn, he gives haste to adjacent teammates, and then at level 3, you're giving evasion to adjacent teammates as well. So aside from whatever Zeus is doing spell wise, at the end of his turn, he's doing so much. And it's not like you can silence him at the start, or you can polymorph him at the start, or you can somehow control him at the beginning of the battle. You can't. He feels like Baymax as soon as Big Hero 6 came out, where he was, that taunt at the start of the battle was such a problem to deal with if you weren't able to deal with it. This is how Zeus is going to be for sure. And just imagine what him at G9 is going to look like as well. So like I said, his kit's out there. If you didn't know, definitely take a look at it. But we kind of gave a little bit of some little diagnosis on this, but I know Sky's probably watching this and knows all the synergies and knows all these crazy things that we haven't mentioned right now. But yeah, for sure, keep your eyes on this. And obviously we won't be seeing a lot of players have this, except for those clubs that we talked about before. But wow, he's gonna be pretty good. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, and to that last point there about the clubs getting it, I know Siege, Champions of Olympus, those guys are like, I remember when they started doing the heroics, like, yeah, we're gonna get Zeus by the end of the year. So they're right on schedule. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised. They're probably gonna get Zeus like by the end of the year. But I know like Juice, Sky, and I are probably not gonna get Zeus until like April or May. I don't know. It just feels like that.
Yeah.
Just
I will say one thing too. Sorry to interrupt. It obviously, this became a necessity for when Herc came out and when Herc became so prevalent, even when he came around. But like, keep your eye out. If you haven't been leveling up Mortal Potion, I'm sure Mortal Potion's going to make a pretty big return. Just the idea of stripping invulnerability and things like that. Because I'm assuming if you're running Zeus, you may be running Herc 2 with him. So there's so much invulnerables potentially. Mortal Potion could make a comeback. I know it's pretty prevalent right now. It's kind of fallen off a little bit. I know we see a lot of hammers and cauldrons and blue fairy magics for cleanses, but I don't know kind of what the spell meta is, but I want to say that Mortal Potion has kind of fallen off a little bit. But I feel like when Zeus is prevalent, Mortal Potion's gonna be back in business, because aside from him gaining vulnerable at the start, his second special, Titanic Thunderbolt, he gains vulnerable that way too. So just a lot to deal with. It's going to be a frustrating meta if you don't have him and you're going up against a lot of them. So of him and Herc and stuff too. So Mortal Potion could be maybe not a counter. It's not going to be a hard counter, but it could be maybe make your job a little bit easier. But if you haven't leveled up that spell yet and you're just kind of sitting on your current spells, you don't know what to level up and you need to level up Mortal Potion, I'd probably maybe set that on your radar, just because it could be useful next year when he becomes a daily character in PvP and whatnot.
That's a good point, because like before, I actually used to use Mortal Potion against Maui, because you use it to strip the taunt, and then you use it again to get rid of his invulnerability, because when he has his invulnerable, it's 2 turns, and Maui's not like the fastest character in the game, so sometimes, like, by chance, you could possibly lose a battle, or you'd lose a battle for turn, like the timer.
Yeah.
So that would happen a couple times, like especially in Source Tournament defense, and I would definitely use it on them. It's crazy to think that they used to be on defense a lot. Oceanics way back in the day. But yeah, that's what I use it for, and I think it's a good point that, you know, it's great to see potions and not potions but spells come to life again, like Sugar Rush. Ever ignored that, and then Wreck-It Ralph kind of introduced it to us, and we kind of saw the benefit from it, and it being pretty, I would say, a pretty standard spell as well. Trigger's Tower, though, man, when I had to see it as a Maleficent, necessity to have. I was like, no. And I think I tried it like once or twice, like in PvP and stuff, just to see like, is it gonna do anything? I was like, oh my gosh, this spell is just as useless as it used to be.
So what about? Let me ask something really quick. Obviously, we won't be able to know until testing. Otherwise, this may be self-explanatory. How does Maleficent at the start of the battle putting immunity or helpful immunity, the debuff on the opposite team? How will that work with Zeus? Will his invulnerable still last, or does that eat because he's invulnerable, he doesn't get that debuff?
I mean, that's a good question, because I know what it's done. Like, for instance, with Sensational 6, it's made them, like, you know, useless against Maleficent with that, when that happens. When it comes to the Zeus, that's a good question, but we think we might have to wait and see. But if it follows the same tail as Sensational 6, then Maleficent may still be a strong counter against Zeus.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, not to put my eggs in one basket, but we'll talk about this later. I know I mentioned this before, but like, if there's any potential chance of me going up against Zeus and having a chance, it's going to be Maleficent, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll move on to that after.
Yeah. And just kind of build up on that, like, I'm going to bring in Swaga real quick. In Swaga, there's like teams that counter teams. Like, you're not, like, in DSA, you can see like multiple factions, you know, being used on one team. In Swaga, it's like, it's a lot of synergies. Like, you have like your Commander Luke Skywalker team, you have your Galactic Legend Kylo Ren team, and it's just like, it's a pretty solid team. But it's not like you're gonna put like for instance, in DSA, right, we'll put like Ralph, Beast, Herc, and like Maleficent all together like in one team, for instance, and Ursula. Like, it's a whole legendary team. Like, there's really like no synergy. It's like really bashing all these legendaries together. But in Swaga, and it's something I kind of hope that EA kind of brings at ESA, it's all about synergy and team. There's a certain teams you can kind of do synergy with and do like maybe hybrids, but it's all about like, hey, I have this one set of team, this is how it's going to go, and this team counters this team, and this team counters this team. Kind of like Pokemon, you know, it's like rock or like water can counter rock, and fire can counter grass, or they have like, you know, multipliers against that and stuff. But DSA, I think it has the one problem I see with them is that with it as a whole is that it's a lot of like, you can just stack up like on one legendary team and kind of forget about like the synergies and stuff. But that's not true with every single team. You know, my PvP team is actually Shan Yu, Belle, Beast, Herc, and Ursula. Kind of, you know, there's some synergy there with half the team, but you know, in general, you can do a lot of you don't need the whole synergy. You can just bash it all together, basically. I don't know, it's kind of kind of random.
I do think really quick. I do think with Zeus's invulnerable at the start of the battle, I don't think he'll get it stripped off from Maleficent. That's what my guess would be, is that he'll have it, and because he's invulnerable, he doesn't get that debuff from Maleficent. That's what my guess would be. Just because he's gonna feel so broken, like Ursula did when people started getting her geared up in startup. But that's what my guess would be. But anyways, yeah.
No, I think that's a good point, because, you know, the other characters like Sensational 6, where it's been a big counter with Maleficent, she isn't getting. They're not getting the. I mean, they're getting the debuffs and everything, right? But they don't have invulnerable, so that makes total sense. Why our assumption on that would be that Zeus will be basically untouchable at that point, at least that first turn. Showdown Season 4. Have you been playing it, or this season, or are you kind of like taking a step back on it?
Very casually, to be honest. I tried to when I can. I know this is Sky's segment, so if you're watching Sky, sorry, we need you here for your Showdown stuff. But I mean, I look at the characters and I have a lot of them are good to go. I do what I can, especially for those milestones and things like that. But if you've watched any of these episodes, when it comes to Showdown, it's not really my thing. Not just because I don't like the game mode, it's just because I don't know. When it comes to the theory crafting and things like that, I'm not super excited about it. So yeah, I've done a little bit, but nowhere near the type of commentary and synergies and things like that Sky can provide. So if you're watching this and you need help for Season 4, I suggest you find him on Discord or read the description below or join his Discord and reach out to him. And I'm sure he already has everything kind of calculated to a T when it comes to Showdown, just because that's his thing. But yeah, sorry, not a lot of commentary on this one, but I saw this on the show notes and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to try to beat around the bush and talk about things I know when I've in fact don't. So yes, there's people that are smarter than me when it comes to this. Talk to those people.
Well, good thing that I actually participated in the Showdown.
There you go.
Round 1, I was like more or less absent. I think I did a couple battles, but round 2, I like went all out. And I will say, to Juice's point, definitely check out Sky's Discord, guys. If you don't know, Sky's Discord has like probably 3 of the best, I think, theory crafters in there. You have Sky himself, you have Timon, and you have Melee Waluigi. So those 3 guys are always chatting in there. Hurt feelings may be hurt. I will say that your feelings might be hurt because they do not hold back, and
they're spicy.
Yeah, they're spicy. They get spicy takes. So if you have thick skin and you can defend your point or something like that, that's a great place to go. And also just to lurk in there and listen, some great information there. Big shout out to those guys. But again, season 4 for me, like I said, was pretty absent. Round 1. I actually placed first in my contest group in round 2. I just went all out. I like had 14,000 potions because like I said, if I was absent for a while and didn't really do season 3 that much, I just had a lot of potions just stacking, right? So I was like, hey, might as well use these potions to my advantage. My comment about this one, or my analysis, is that this is a really good showdown because you have the max amount of like potion deductions. I guess like it's like I think 200 per character maxed from what I remember seeing, because before it would just keep on stacking for the potions. Now it's like there's a max per character of how many they can deduct from your potion count at the cost, and then it's smaller roster sizes, because like season 3, like I swear there was like rounds where it was like 40 characters or something like that, which the more characters, it sounds like, hey, the more characters I have, the better it is. But at the same time, it's like, yes, they need to create more teams. They need to like filter through those teams. You have to just keep on going through there. It takes a lot more time. When I only have like 3 or 4 teams, I can just bash them out. I just set up my teams quickly, just go through it, and I just feel like when you're given too many options, because I believe there is like some type of like marketing or not socioeconomic, but there was some studies on this, like where when you're given too many options, you get like I don't know, like option constipation, where you just can't make a choice because there's so many options. But when you're given like maybe a smaller option, a smaller menu for the restaurant, for instance, you need to make a decision. Like if there's a choice between a burger and a hot dog, I'll probably choose a burger if that's my choice. But if I have like a a burger, a sandwich, pasta, all these things on that list, it's like I'll probably sit there for like 3-4 minutes making my decision. But like when it's a shorter roster size you could choose from, not better. I know the biggest controversy on this roster is Steamboat Mickey, because this is also the content creator choice one. I don't mind not having. I don't mind Steamboat Mickey. He's not that crazy of a character. But I can understand why like people be like, oh, but I've been paying for 3 months and I don't have Steamboat Unlocked. It's fine, guys. You're not missing out. It's one character. Just be happy. There's no Tiana. There's no Frank Wolf, and there's no Lily in this showdown. I think that's one thing we can all be thankful for. But I really tried in round 2. I may or may not try in round 3, but I think I'm definitely gonna push more, maybe on the even round, so I can just stack up on potions. I have no clue, but definitely been a good season so far. If I were to compare this season to last season, this is definitely my favorite season so far. I think just because of the roster sizes, characters, and the options, because there's no, like I said, there's no paywall characters like your Tianas and stuff that really made Showdown kind of a drag to play at some points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's our Showdown mid-season checkpoint. I think season 3 starts in a couple days or something like that. So good luck to you guys for round 3. Sorry, not season, but round 3 coming up. And with the end of the year coming around, It just feels like ever since Thanksgiving and stuff came around, I thought this would be a bit more energetic from the devs and stuff. We didn't get anything too crazy. Um, I don't know, Juice. What are you thinking for the end of the year stuff? Um, what do you think they're going to be bringing in for us?
You know what? This is me not doing research for the show. So, anyways, I'm trying to think of last year, especially around this time. I thought it was kind of quiet, right? I mean, especially right when the holidays hit, there wasn't much going on. So I'm kind of expecting the same. You know how developers, rewarding their teams and hopefully giving them some time off to relax and be with family and stuff like that. That's what I would kind of expect. I wouldn't expect some type of crazy release or anything like that. Maybe I really don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the calendar year from last year and see what they had done, but um a little bit quiet. I would probably expect it to be the same um as the next couple weeks go on, and then obviously after the new year things will kind of start um moving forward, whether there's a new event or something like that. But yeah, aside from the missile token stuff, and they got the calendars they released for free and stuff like that with the genie costume, which is pretty awesome, by the way. We didn't mention that already, but
Mm-hmm.
I think aside from discounted packs and rewards and leader and calendars and stuff like that, just to kind of they're giving their players free stuff to get every day when they log in. It kind of tides people over and makes them feel like they're getting stuff for around the holiday time. I wouldn't expect much, so nothing kind of crazy. But I could be completely wrong, but that's just kind of what my gut's telling me. What do you think, DSG?
Oh, dude, I love the genie outfit calendar thing. I love that thing so much. It's so nice. I mean, I can't wait to see what the costume actually looks like. But just great to see. Great little community gift. This time last year, like I think literally this weekend was when we got Mickey. So Mickey is technically a year old in the game.
Okay.
Very controversial release because I think the weekend, 2 weeks before was Beast, and then now you get Mickey this time last year. I guess like one thing you can talk about is like how do those two characters age? I think Mickey aged, he scaled really quickly, and then he aged poorly. And I think Beast was a good release. His supporting cast wasn't that great. And he kind of scaled, and then when Hurt came around, he really scaled a little bit more because they were a good little duo to have. And then he aged perfectly. I mean, he became a big, useful character in both raids and just consistent in like literally every game mode. So I think it's kind of how my analysis on those two guys.
I would even say that. I mean, I think Mickey aged quite well, aside from the other Sensational Six, just because obviously I finally got him fully maxed out in G8 because he became obviously a nightmare in Club Conquest, but he became a standalone. I'm going to use his leadership without any other Sensational Six characters, depending on what your defense team is, and it still worked. Like my Mickey, Ralph, Ursula, Beast, Herc team doesn't get. I mean, it stands pretty strong just because he gets that immunity, he gets the attack up, he gets the speed, he's going to be using that assist, and then he's going to be calling on potentially Herc and Beast and stuff too. So he's still strong as far as defending, even if you're using him by himself, which is pretty cool. I've seen him kind of standalone in some PvP where you're running like multiple Toms, where you have like Baymax, Herc, Beast, and Mickey kind of hides behind a wall a little bit. And if you have Cauldron, you can kind of get his Disneyland Forever out or a little bit early. But yeah, I got him up finally, pretty much free to play to fully maxed out, and he's been worth it for me. I don't really get underneath top 20 at all, and sometimes I forget to do my attempts and things like that. I'm still getting those the tournament exchange currency every day. So yeah, I think Mickey could still potentially be a staple. We'll see what happens though when the leadership start becoming more overpowering. Like if we see Zeus's leadership become more apparent, or if we see obviously the princesses use Rapunzel's and things like that. But we'll see. I think Mickey's still stayed pretty consistent. He has fallen off though with Maleficent leadership though. We'll see, but we'll see. That's probably the big one you probably haven't brought up yet. But yeah, for now I thought he definitely didn't fall off a cliff. I still think he's been kind of just consistent.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I think you got a good point there. I think at this point he still probably has some good aging to do, and he still can be very useful in various modes and stuff. But I think that the kicker is going to be in 2022, really. maybe the second run of Maleficent, sure, but I think the third run of Maleficent is when a lot of people are going to get her. I think that's when we're going to see Mickey kind of, you know, go to the wayside almost.
You know what's interesting too, by the way, I forgot to bring this up with the Zeus thing, and we're kind of talking about it with Mickey himself having like the leadership, and he gets all those buffs at the start of the battle. Like, remember when Big Hero 6 came out? We're talking about, okay, a character gets taunt at the start of the battle. How can they outdo themselves, or how can they power creep this to like obviously make things better? But like, can anything really get better than having invulnerable at the start of the battle with Zeus? Like, I'm trying to think, like, how do they power creep that? Like, they power creep taunt with Baymax, and then there was characters that got haste and stuff like that at the start of the battle, especially like Mickey on defense. But I'm like, how do they do that? Obviously, I can't even fathom how they're going to figure that out from years to come. But that's definitely something to think about. But yeah, I forgot to bring that up.
I think like if they added like protect to that and like all of Mickey's like abilities that he gives as a leader, that could probably like definitely outdo it. But that would just, I think, roll people off a cliff basically and like ruin the game completely with that Zeus lead if that was like the whole thing. And actually, one thing we forgot to talk about Zeus was that he brings in a new harmful effect, which is shocked. So shocked, from I remember reading it, you can only you can't assist, I believe, is part of it. And you can also only do basics. I could be wrong on that. I don't have the game pulled up right now. But shocked is a new harmful effect that he brought in on there, and it's, I don't know what it's gonna bring to the game, how it's gonna affect the game, but hey, I'll take a new effect if it's gonna help me somehow or some way, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, looking towards what the devs could do for like the end of the year, I really think they're so like I think DSA has dropped a character every month, no matter what. So, except I feel like there may have been a long stretch for like 6+ weeks, where they didn't drop a character between Peter Pan and I think was it like Frank and Lily or Tiana. So, we're still waiting for that character. We're still waiting for a character to come in for this month. Don't know who's gonna be. Mike was a great character for last month. Great Sorcerer's Chosen. I don't know if they're gonna like. I think they're gonna probably drop the Sorcerer's Chosen, but they're gonna be very, I think, close to their pocket. Basically, they're only gonna do it very conservatively, like maybe once every 2 or 3 months. They're gonna release one. I don't think they're just gonna dump, Sorcerer's Chosen out there all the time. They still kind of want to milk the raid, right? So I think they're probably gonna make sure that you get one, gear it up and everything, and then put out the next one once you've maxed out that one. So you make sure that you're really like, getting spending the most amount of value out of there. But yeah, there's got to be like some type of character they're gonna release another seasonal event, and or the next legendary. But I still think that's gonna be in January. I don't know. What do you think? Legendary December or legendary January?
Was it Herc end of January during the first release?
Yeah, Herc was like end of January, February. I think closer to Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was that.
I'm not good with dates. I'm not good with dates in
Mm-hmm.
general, but that's what I feel like. So I feel like after the holiday break and they'll probably regroup. The team the devs will regroup and after the new year and talk about whatever, and they may have something ready to launch, or they'll probably like, okay, we'll get it out by the end of the month, similar to how they did with Herc. We'll see what happens, but that's what I would expect.
I'm honestly kind of looking forward to like a fireside chat next year. Kind of hoping like, you have to do it with Cozy, that's great, but I'd like to see like Default Dan get some love or someone else like hold like get the baton for that type of stream, because like all the stuff they talked about in March when they did the first fireside chat, or February for the 1 year anniversary, all that stuff's already come through. So we need another one. We need a major update, see what 2022 looks like for the game. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. We got the new PvP mode, which is Showdown. We got the new raid, and then we got we're still waiting for Club Expedition, and hopefully a more fleshed out Club Conquest 1v1. come out in the future, hopefully. But yeah, I think that's all we kind of got for what we can speculate for end
Yeah,
of year
I
stuff.
don't also I don't know as well if it's beneficial for them to release characters right around the holidays. I mean, people are on vacation or like, they're spending time with their families. Are they going to be loading up the game and getting stuff? Like, I don't know if it's more beneficial and strategic to release it after the holidays now that, maybe people have gift cards and stuff like that, or players may be distracted by other things that may not allow them to maybe play as much, or they may miss out on the event. So who knows? We'll see. My guess it's going to be quiet. So until after the new year, then we'll figure it out.
No, that totally makes sense because even like for us, like this time last year, everyone was pretty much just stayed home, right? Like no one was doing any major trips or anything like that. But this year,
Yeah.
This like holiday season, Thanksgiving and stuff, everyone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna be out for like this weekend. Oh, we'll be out for this week, like in our club chat and stuff. And I'm like, oh wow, like it feels like more things are back to normal. So I think the game companies in general are kind of struggling, like, oh, we can't like milk them out on spending in game or something as much anymore because they're out, spending it in real life doing real life things. So I think that's a good point that probably we're gonna see stuff come out later on in 2022, like early 2022 though, like January, February, for sure. That's when I think that's I would pencil in like after like MLK weekends, probably when we're gonna get the next legendary. I hope they keep stretching it out because I'm still working on Maleficent, guys. Come on, I need some breathing room here.
I agree.
Nonetheless, still excited for it. But how's the account looking since the last 2 weeks? What do you got going on?
Yeah, so Kingdom characters are good. All the characters are all 7-star now, which is pretty awesome. I've spent almost my 1.2 million Sorcerer Tournament tokens. I'm at like 100,000 left.
Oh shoot!
I was spending them on Chip and Miguel and Namari and Randall. Randall's the last character I'm spending them now. Everyone else is all good to go. Everyone's all maxed out. Yeah, so like I said, all the characters are all 7-star. As far as gear goes, aside from the characters that were required for events, like Mrs. Potts is G6, my Shan Yu is G8 because I used him at one point. A lot of them are kind of gear tier 5 and 4, nothing too crazy. Characters like Robin Hood and stuff that I used way back in the day, but I don't anymore. So, and I've just been hoarding gear. I'm currently working on Frozone right now. He's like 5 out of 100 for his 7-star. But yeah, now that those characters are all 7-star, we'll see how much gear I have in order to hopefully push them for when the actual Maleficent event comes back around. We'll see how much I have and how much I don't have. I've been doing a good job looking at finding kingdom pieces in the exchanges and stuff like that. So I have a ton of gear. I know that's going to go super quick. I know the gold is going to go super quick too, because you have to level those characters up to you have to level them up too, which is expensive, and then buying the gear and stuff too. So I'm trying to make sure I'm saving up gold and stuff like that as well. So yeah, Frozone's the current farm, spending energy and campaign and grand campaign on him to get him up to 7-star for Sorcerer's Chosen, and then hoarding gear for when Maleficent returns again, and we'll see what I can get her. I do think she won't be a 7-star for me when she comes back around. There's no way. I'm hoping she'll be at least 5 or 6 when the event comes back around. But I do notice though, going up against Maleficent as far as with my team goes, even though I'm rocking a full 7-star gear tier 8 team, some gear tier 9 pieces in there as well. When I go up against like a 5-star or even a 6-star Maleficent in like PvP, it feels like an auto lose now. It really does. It feels like when I used to go up against Herc and I didn't have Herc, like it would just be okay. I'm just gonna hit the auto button and then just whatever. I'll lose and right off the bat I'll quit the app and then open it back up like 5 minutes later to a loss. But like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy how much a leadership and some of the abilities can do. It's just you feel like you don't have a chance at all. So like, I'm hoping that even if I can't get her to fully 7-star, that I can have her to at least playable and compete. I'm not going up against Maleficent every time, but man, it feels bad. Some games just feel so terrible, or it's just like, gosh, don't even have a chance whatsoever. Even with I'm even starting to see princess teams really starting to kind of kick my ass in PvP. Just with Tiana and Rapunzel and stuff, really outspeeding my team and stuff like that too, and just becoming problems with the little gumbo bucket and stuff too. So I've been going against some princess teams and just sometimes getting worked, which sucks. I don't know. We'll have to see if that I don't know a lot of PvP uh, matchups and things like that. I don't know how the princess team does against Maleficent and things like that, but I don't know. That's probably not going to change my farming. But yeah, my whole hybrid team is, it's casually getting wins, but it's starting to feel a little bit lackluster when it comes to some of these other meta type teams. But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
I'm totally in the same boat with the whole Maleficent thing. Like the gold and everything's just gonna disappear pretty quick, I think, in the coming weeks, because I'm just capping off my Sorcerer's Chosen. Like I just finished Horn King today, leaves me with Olaf and Oogie. And do you have Oogie done like at 7 stars?
No.
Do you have Sally or Jack Skellington?
Sally's close, but not Jack.
I'm an advocate to get the push for the free Oogie Boogie. I made a little video on it and stuff, but like, no, I'm totally gunning for that. Like, I had Jack inside that all set, so I have 6 out of the original 8 done. And of course, Mike is by chance. I think, I'm not buying any packs for Mike or anything like that. As much as I love him, I think he's a great character and stuff. But sort of Chosen stuff, probably like 3 runs before I get a 7-star Mike or something like that. Because I'm gonna have like Randall and them all done by then. But like right now, like I'm gonna start gearing up. Right now, I'm gearing up Oogie to gear tier 8. I'm gonna take a pause on Olaf. Like I don't know if I really want to do that or not, commit to it or not. Because if I get Mike and stuff, and I have Sully and stuff, I should be able to cover my damage basically. But I'm getting Sully and Randall gearing up as well. Because I need character. The problem running into is that I have the Sorcerer's Chosen. I don't have enough teams. That's a really hard part. And luckily, Downtown Villains, I have a crap ton of Downtown Villains gear for G8 that I don't need. Well, that I do need, but I can just dump on him, and then Sully, I'm kind of short on Downtown Heroes villain gear, but I haven't like upgraded any characters in a while. I think Ralph was the last one, and I'm just like, why not? I have my drops for Downtown Hero stuff been that poor? Like, you just haven't gotten any? Apparently so. And then after that, I'm bringing up Namari. So Namari's my first one for that villains section for Maleficent, because instead of Shan Yu, like G8, I'm just gonna bring up the rest of the villains first, and then going flip the other side basically. Yeah, it's kind of where the account's at right now. I was buying farming Yzma. Man, that 8 energy farm is amazing. The drops feel fantastic, and you just get through it really quick. Now I'm on to Gaston, and it feels a little slower. Then I'm gonna go to Robin Hood, which is a 14 energy, and that's gonna feel like freaking hell. Because I've done a lot of 14 energies, and those are the worst in my opinion. Just because
I got him 7-star just through like the PvP way back in the day.
Oh, that was even before me, I think.
That was before you?
Yeah, because when I entered the game, it was Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I probably wasn't doing it the most efficient way, but like all my characters in Club Dungeon Exchange are all maxed out now, even like Hopper and stuff like that. Like Gaston and Yzma are all done. And then like when I go to Sorcerer's Tournament Exchange, like I said, everyone's done except for Randall. I need like just a couple more hits on him and he'll be done too. So I'm trying to get all those maxed out just so then I can prioritize all those currency just for gear and stuff like that too. But it's just hard because energy is feels like it's such a priceless commodity. You don't want to use it on stuff you don't want to use it on.
Absolutely. And I will say, like, I think one of your biggest hoarding successes was definitely the tournament exchange. That was like one of your best hoarding calls, honestly. I'm like, I think what I'm gonna do now, because I'm wrapping up Namari, then I'm gonna go into Chip. I'm pretty sure they're gonna add more characters, the first half of next year to there. Because they're adding them a lot more, more frequent basis. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna do more. especially once the next legendary comes around. Looks like they're going to do that as well. But I am going to add someone there. I mean, I'm going to hoard the tokens there for a while, probably till I'm about like a 400 500,000 range. Then I'll get tournament tokens, but that's not going to take too long. But I'm definitely going to go in the hoarding mode for the foreseeable future in that sense. But yeah, those are.
No, I'm gonna do the same thing again. I mean,
Mhm.
I hoarded in the case if they would add just one character, and let alone they added
5 or something.
4. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a lot. So I'll do the same thing. And obviously, some argue. I mean, I think Sky said he had mentioned before, at least on the podcast, the threshold in which you should probably save up to, whether it was like 400K or something like that. But
Yeah.
some like spending those on like for the 7-star currency and buying more gear and stuff like that. But like for me, it's just nice to just be able to max those characters out and stuff like that, and have them all set to go. And unless I think I started buying the 7-star currency when we went almost like a year or something without any new updates to there. And I'm like, all right, I'll start spending them, I guess. And I started spending some of them. But, yeah, we'll get back to hoarding after I finish up Randall, and we'll be good to go.
Absolutely. And I guess for context for any new people out there, they went from 15 characters to 25 in the tournament exchange this year. But that was only the second half of this year. I think since July or something. They've added 10 characters, which is a lot. So yeah, if you're a new player in DSA, your pathway to leveling up and gearing up is expedited. It feels just because there's so many opportunities now for you to do it. Yeah, we need to check in and see when are we getting our 7-star Wendy's and Sneeze and Peter Pans for free. in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's our account updates. Do you have anything else, Juice?
I don't. I'm not sure what will be different when we record the next pod, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so next pod, I'm just looking at the calendar real quick. Next pod is possibly... No, there should be one more after that. So next pod is not our last one of the year. You should actually have, recording-wise, should have 2 more before the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Sky, hope if you're watching this, hopefully we'll catch you next time for sure. But Juice, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
Happy holidays.